We are live here on Believe in Monsters. I am your host, Chris Krugman at Shy Bears 1985, joined by the most handsomest of all the men in Massachusetts,
Until I disappear.
Luke S. Berry at LBerry underscore 40. We are brought to you by the Believe Network at Believe, BLEAV Network on Twitter. We are part of that network for a while now. Been having a blast being a part of the new network. But Sunday was not the biggest of blasts. So, Lucas, how are you feeling tonight, my friend?
Fine and peachy. I don't know about you, but the weather near me is kind of fucked up.
Bro,
Went from
we
like
got
70 degrees to like 30, and now my head feels terrible.
We got 2 to 3 inches of snow, and it's been in the 20s the last 3 days, and it's like
Was it like
oh,
70 right before that?
nah, it's been steadily chilly, but it'll spike back up to like 70 here in a couple days, I'm sure. Denver weather is bipolar. It has no idea what to do.
Yeah,
No
the
offense
weather
to
here's
any.
been bad. Weather here's been bad. It gets dark at 4 o'clock, so you know how that goes. Tough transition.
Yeah,
But
it's rough.
the Bears, I'm
Rough.
still excited about the Bears, even though they're losing. Sunday was rough. It was a rough fourth quarter.
Yeah. It wasn't great. Bears dominated a lot of the statistical things and didn't. Total yards 408 for the Bears to 323 for the Lions. Lions had more passing yards. Bears had significantly more rushing yards. Yards per play is, I think, is a pretty good stat. Bears had 7 yards a play to the Lions 5.5, but the Lions had more first downs, six first
7 yards
downs.
of play is a lot.
It is. It is. It
It's a
happens when your
shit ton.
quarterback's running 67-yard runs. Um, Third down efficiency was about the same. Total plays was almost exactly the same. Sacks allowed was very similar. Punts was very similar. Penalties
Yeah.
is where the game differed significantly.
Probably
Uh,
was decided by penalties.
yeah, I mean, they always say you got to play better than the refs, take it out of the refs' hands or whatever. But for a
The
team
Bears aren't
like the
good enough to do that.
Bears, well, right. But for a team like the Bears, it's probably one of the lowest penalized teams in the league to have their highest penalized game against the worst team in the division. Let's be honest. I mean, the Lions are terrible. I mean, it doesn't say much about the Bears since they couldn't beat them, but yeah, turnover battle was also lost by the Bears. Time of possession was almost the same, but man, those penalties were brutal, and it wasn't. I mean, there was two really egregious ones that stuck out to me. The punch out fumble by Kyler Gordon, where Jared Goff was not even out of bounds yet, and that dude tripped over whatever that white stuff is on the sideline that's there. He just tripped over himself. And then you had the Jalen Johnson phantom hands to the face on a turnover, which
Yeah.
then led to a DeAndre Swift touchdown on the very next play. Lucas, which one of those two would you say was worse? I mean, it's kind of obvious the way I
I
just set that up, but
yeah, the punch out, I didn't love the call, but I see why they called it. I feel like the quarterback always gets that call if you touch him when he's like close to the sideline and you give him a push, even if he sells it. So
he didn't push him though. He hit the
I
ball. He didn't even
I
touch the
know,
dude.
but I know, but
Ugh,
I don't know. I
fuck.
could see why they called that. Like live, I could see why it would look like he was pushed. Because it took like 2 or 3 replays for me to be like, okay, he was trying to punch the ball. But But
Sky Judge.
that
Sky Judge.
Sanborn one was terrible, and that I think quite literally changed the game. I mean, the Lions were on the goal line; they would have just turned it over.
Yeah,
They
14 point lead maintained
I
in
mean, it was
the fourth
basically a
quarter.
14-point swing because they score immediately, and then the Bears get the ball and throw a pick six, which I mean was 100% Fields' fault. But if they're up by 14 points, so they really, I don't know. The situation in the game is different, and it probably doesn't happen. So I don't like blaming the refs, but that single-handedly kind of changed the game there. Even though the Bears got it right back, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, they could have iced the game in a different fashion had that not happened. But here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I've tried to be on the not. I don't like bitching about the refs, but man, we've had 3 games in a row where it's, I'm not saying they won or lost the game for the Bears, but there were some significant changes. And
Momentum changing calls.
yeah, momentum changing calls, and Adam Hogue is a very vocal, writer for CHGO that talks about the refs on their podcast pretty much weekly, and he said he'll always call out bad calls, both ways. So he said that there was a few missed calls against the Bears as well, some holdings or some like
Minor penalties, false starts,
yeah,
stuff like that, illegal
stuff like
motion.
that, right? So like when people are calling for a Sky Judge, and I totally get it, but on the flip side of that, are we asking them to like now call every single penalty? Because good God, games will take forever. There's probably a penalty that isn't called on like every single play, right? So
I just think
and
I don't know.
I don't want to challenge system, but fuck, man, we got to
But I
fix
mean,
something.
if you think about like how fast they get those NFL reviewers in there, like they'll have Mike Pereira from New York phone in, and he'll immediately like he's watching all the games, and he'll immediately be like, "Yeah, that was or wasn't a penalty." I
Yeah,
mean, I think for maybe 15-yard penalties, like anything, like any kind of pass interference or face mask or penalty like that, could be possibly reviewed or just looked at briefly in the booth or by New York or wherever. I mean, I don't think it needs to be an in-depth thing. I think they just need someone to say, hey, this should be looked at again or something like that.
yeah, I agree. Like especially like
I mean, with all the commercial breaks, is like after a turnover or whatever, it's always going back to commercial break or whatever anyway. So
I would maybe start with like the 15 yarders and then anything that causes an automatic first down.
yeah.
Did you watch the game last night?
Yeah, like that was terrible. That was just
The face
absolutely
mask.
it was horrible.
Yeah.
How do you miss that?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And that changes the aspect. I mean,
Oh, completely.
the Philly was getting outplayed, but that changes the complete.
Well, yeah, they
outlook
were
of that
marching
game.
with like they were down 2. It was I think they were down 2 at the time and marching, and the Goddard face mask fumble that wasn't called completely changes the momentum of that game and what Philadelphia is doing. So whatever, it is what it is. So yeah, Bears first drive was great. You started off the game with a read option for Fields. He, casually, meanders down the sideline for 28 yards. No big deal.
Scampers.
Just chilling on a nice Sunday afternoon jog for Justin. Jogging Justin is what we could call him, and he'd still smoke half the league.
A Sunday afternoon stroll. That's what Jeff Joniak says.
Nice. And then you had some nice throws to throughout the game to Pettis, to Mooney, obviously the big one
Kmet.
to Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet again scores 2 touchdowns.
I liked his first throw to Kmet, the one where he kind of evaded some pressure and just tossed it to he threw like a 40-yard rope down the sideline, and I don't even think people realize how tough that throw was, but it was absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I don't remember, no.
But there was one play where he evaded a sack, and then he found Kmet 30 or 40 yards downfield and threw a dart to him over the head of the defender. It was insane. That I think that throwback play where Komet scored, though, that was definitely what they ran versus the Dolphins in the preseason last year with Nagy. Remember in Fields' first game? They ran it to whatever that tight end's name was.
Yeah, totally. And I think we're just seeing the evolution of this offense more and more through like Getsy tapping into what his players can do and then just exploiting and leveraging that kind of stuff. Oh, hey, you think we're going to do this? Oh, hey, no, we're going to actually do this. And like they said that the Lions, I think, B Schultz called this out too on Twitter. Lions didn't know what the fuck to do anymore with Justin. They were like scared to rush. They got confused as to whether he was going to run or not. And so he just he has time to kind of do whatever he wants down there because they don't want to lose contain. And he just threw a bomb, dude. And Komet got wide open because they were too afraid of what Fields would do with his feet.
Yeah, safety start peeking in the backfield, looking for everything else. And, that's wide open. I mean, that's kind of how the Bears are going to have to get their big chunk plays, though, through the air, I think. They're not built for a traditional drop back passing game. And I think we're starting to see that every week. A lot of people are saying that, the Bears can't score when they have the ball in the fourth quarter. Well, it's because when they're down in a game and they need to move the ball quickly, they're not running long methodical drives with Fields' legs in the run game. They just can't straight drop back and pass with 5 blockers. They can't do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think you never typically see like Lamar doing that stuff. Like I was like we were going back and forth on our text chain. The Bears just can't get into situations like that.
Right. But their defense isn't good enough to make stops. Right. So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like a catch-22.
I mean, the defense has put them in the position to win. I mean, albeit this week was not like really putting it in a position. It was more or less just like being subservient enough to let the Lions score the go-ahead touchdown and then give the ball back. But like the Dolphins game, they got to stop. And it was the first one of the game, but yeah, they can't drop back and pass because the defense knows it's coming. The D-line can pin their ears back. They don't have the I don't know, like what game was it? Like the Commanders game, Justin took off and ran. So they could still run this type of offense with Justin more or less just running, but I think defenses are going to just run more cover 2 shell and just not let him. Like they're going to keep their eyes on him instead of their eyes on like in a man coverage situation. So he can't just take off and all the defenders have their back to him.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely, they're just, Getsy's playbook is very dynamic and opening up every week, but this is just one aspect of the game. I don't think they're just able to do this year with their personnel. I almost think at the end of games, they're better off, like you said, just running the same offense and hoping they bust a big play in the run game or something like that. But yeah, it is tough to watch these guys when they're forced to actually drop back and pass. It's not pretty right now. Still a work in progress. We know Justin can do it, or at least we hope he can. And I just think they'll need to get some more weapons. But to me, it's really crazy that like I guess the analytics community has the Bears pass blocking as like, an above average to mediocre unit. But like, if you watch some of the clips from these games, like most of the game, these defenders aren't even rushing. So they're so scared of Fields running. So they literally get blocked on purpose just to maintain their gap.
Right.
And then like
just bury him, then, dude.
Just bury
him.
And then the booger eaters will be like, "Oh yeah, Braxton Jones is holding his block for an average of 5 seconds. A plus 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 plus." Fields holds on to the ball too long. That's what it turns into to the analytics community.
I mean, the analytics community can't like. What's the average wide receivers? Yards of separation. on the Bears. I'm guessing
Yeah,
it's pretty
see,
low.
that's the shit we don't see. But
Well,
I just
that there's an article that I can't remember who the hell the writer is. I can never remember. It's called Reception Perception, and it's essentially that is like who's getting the most amount of separation in the league against their opponents, and I like it's more like it's more fantasy driven, so it's more like individual players. I guarantee the Bears wide receivers are not getting good separation and
no.
whatever. I mean, so you talked about the running game a little bit. Unfortunately, we had an injury happen in this game, and I didn't even see what happened. Did you see where Khalil Herbert got hurt?
It was on the kick return. They just said he got up limping. I didn't even know what happened to him. Like he got hit and then he limped off and that was it. They mentioned it and I mean he walked off the field. I didn't think it was that serious or anything, but now they threw him on IR. So
He's got some sort of hip injury, so hopefully it's not too bad. But hip injury can't be good for a running back.
no, and those I guess in 4 weeks they'll see where he's at. But with the season winding down, they might just shut him down for the year, depending on what it is.
Yeah. So it's Treston Ebner's season, along with our boy
Monty,
Anderson leading the backfield.
No, was it Anderson or it was something else?
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
Yeah. Anderson is an actual person that played for the Bears, Neil Anderson. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But the other, one of the other big topics was that Chase Claypool only had like 19 snaps. And I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, last week he basically was just asked to run go routes and some swing passes and stuff like that, but didn't really seem to be in the game plan this week. So I'm wondering if that was part of it, if it just wasn't the game plan to, throw the ball to that, receiver assignment, regardless of who was in the personnel. Because they didn't really throw the ball a ton anyway. Would they have like 150 passing yards? And 50 of those came on that Komet touchdown. So 100 yards over, I don't know what the hell Justin's final stat line was. 12 for 20. So 11 of those completions for 100 yards. So a little bit like 10 yards. 10 yards, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see here. Komet had 4 for 74. Mooney had 4 for 57. Pringle had 1. Pettis had 1. Claypool did have 1 for 8.
It was like a rush though. Pettis's
like
reception was like
like one of those forward toss jobbers. Yeah, whatever.
I'm not too worried about it though. To be honest, I kind of figured it would be 3 to 4 weeks for him to get somewhat integrated into the offense. I mean, it's a hard offense to learn, and also if he's not used to, this kind of coaching style, like they obviously put a ton of emphasis on blocking and shit like that, which is why ESB is always on the field and Pettis. So, if he's not giving 100% effort on all his blocking snaps as well as receiving, I'm sure that will take that down as well. I mean, that's just a random thought of mine, but that's the type of player they're looking for. So, maybe if he wasn't asked to do that stuff in Pittsburgh and not used to it, you won't see the field until he does. But I think 3 to 4 weeks. I think next week and the week after we'll probably see him.
Well,
keep
Atlanta's secondary is absolutely atrocious. So
we said this week versus the Lions was the throw. I mean, this is the same situation.
You said I didn't say the Lions. Lions defense is just shit. Regardless, I don't think there is a bad offensive game plan.
It's Hutchinson and Okuda.
That's apparently Okuda. Yeah.
He's had a good bounce back year.
Well, he got hurt, right? That was his. I mean, he shouldn't have been taken as high as he was taken, but he got hurt like within the first 3 weeks of the year last year, right?
He was hurt, and he also just wasn't very good.
I don't know if he played.
Like, he definitely did. It was either his rookie or last year where he just wasn't good. But
last year was his rookie year. wasn't
I'm
it?
pretty sure he played a decent amount. Just wasn't good. Well, anyways,
You
he's
figured
decent
that
this
out.
year.
Yeah, he's playing better. So as far as running the football, Bears offense continues to go ape shit. Fields with another marvelous 13 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. The first one knocked the Detroit safety out for the game, and he just trucked him at the goal line. Dude just laid there, poor dude. And then Herbert had 10 for 57, Montgomery 9 for 37. EQ had a couple of end arounds, and then Pettis had. Oh no, yeah. So Pettis had a carry, but he also had a catch. Yeah, Pettis had that one catch over the middle, that one that he was coming back, that dart that Justin threw.
Yeah.
So, yeah, running game still fantastic, regardless of who's kind of running the ball. Obviously, Fields that a 67-yard run was absolutely ridiculous. His evading skills are just insane. He's nearly getting sacked on every play. He's having to hold on to the ball, and he just gets out of it. He almost got out of it at the end of the game.
Dude,
At the end of the game, he
that
still
was
almost got out of
insane.
it.
I was like, dude, I thought he was gonna throw that downfield and complete it. That was absolutely crazy.
He had one early in the game where he did that. I think it was the Pettis catch where he was caught in the pocket, kept his eyes downfield, popped up and chucked it like really quick and got rid of it over the middle and got the completion for a near first down. I'm 90% sure that was the Pettis 9-yarder. But man, kid's electric. And like many people have pointed out, this was not Justin Fields' game in college. He was very much a throwing quarterback with a rocket arm.
I'm pretty sure his most rushing yards in college is like between 400 and 500, which is like solid, but it's not like some of these mobile
It's not like
quarterbacks in college who are running for 1,200 yards and throwing for another 1,000 or so.
It's not like Tim Tebow accounting for 80
Right.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
40,
exactly.
40 rushing and 40 passing. So overall, I mean, offense works in a way, but the passing game still needs work, and that's everybody. I know you and I, Lucas, had a nice heated discussion on where to place blame, I guess, is really what it comes down to. This loss is definitely a team loss. I think a lot of the media wants to see Justin be able to lead a team on a 2-minute drive, but like you talked about, it's really difficult when the defense knows you have to drop back and pass, and there's not a lot of weapons, and there's not good protection up front. So I think that is a reasonable request for an elite win because of type quarterback. Would you agree, Lucas, that 2-minute drive winning quarterback is a good request for his next kind of step?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just mostly have taken just kind of feel like some misplaced blame from the Chicago media on Fields for not getting that done. Like, I don't think that takes anything away from his development or what we've seen because he hasn't been able to do it. Because I mean, there's been a lot of circumstances that we've seen every chance he's got. The Vikings game, for example, we got guys dropping passes. The Washington game, the same thing. Guys dropping passes in the end zone, and ultimately, it shows up on the stat sheet as whatever incomplete pass, turnover on downs. Fields turns it over on downs multiple times, but it's like, all right, without the context there, it's a little bit tough. And I mean, versus the Lions, they didn't pass really at all in the fourth quarter. Fine. But also they missed an extra point. They had a bad penalty against them in the whole 9 yards. So it's just tough to evaluate it without looking at the full picture of things. I guess for me, I don't know. I personally don't care. Like the 2-minute offense, like I said, it is what it is. I just don't think they're able to do it at this point in time. So I guess I'm kind of letting him off the hook where other people might be a little more strict on him.
Yeah, that's fair. As far as like, so the I think John's dropped this stat last week, or maybe it was the Sunday show after the game, where teams that have rushed for 225 yards in a game are 40-5.
And the
And
Bears lost twice.
2 of the 5 losses are the Bears this season, which is just ridiculous. So I think that kind of way, like, I think what they're not doing a good job of like kind of expressing this message, but this is kind of what I've taken away from all of it is like, yeah, we as fans, potentially the organization, want a better draft pick but for these players that are going to be here, that are building for the future, these these losses start to weigh on you. I think there was a podcast I was listening to today that said, just as much as you can learn to win, you can learn to lose. And you don't want to develop a losing culture in the midst of a rebuild. Yes, there are a lot of positives going on right now, but like you said, Lucas, with those dropped passes, with the bad penalties, with just shit going wrong, they're just finding ways to lose. And that's something that I think they want to just get a couple of feathers in their cap of like, hey, we can do this. And with better talent, we're going to do it more. But if you don't ever do it at all, we got one off season that people are counting on being like just a miracle. And I don't, like, I'm very much, caught up in that as well. Tons of cap room and lots of draft capital, and they're going to have a top whatever pick. Fuck it, the way it looks after losing to the Lions, it might be a top 3 pick at this point. So I don't mind a few real victories here, even if it hinders a couple of draft positions,
I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I don't root to lose, but if they do lose, that's kind of my positive spin on it, is the draft pick. But I'm just at the point where the outcome is the outcome. I know they'll be bad and it'll be probably a good draft pick regardless. But
I mean, the draft pick is no guarantee. I mean, think about the last time the Bears had a top 5 pick. I mean, they traded.
It's not
Mitch. So,
but I just feel like this time, at least with some people on Twitter have phrased that, most years they might not want that pick, but this year specifically, with the state of the Bears, the cap space situation, the kind of roster turnover they're going to go through this offseason, that top 5 pick could be so valuable to the point where, maybe you try and parlay that into 2 or 3 more first-round picks for a team who needs a quarterback or something. And if you beat the Lions,
I don't hate that idea. Yeah. No.
If you beat the Lions, maybe that's not a possibility. So in that kind of sense, every loss matters in a somewhat deep QB class where 3 or 4 might go in the first round, and you're going to be kind of sitting there in a spot where you have so many needs besides quarterback that you can trade out of that and get way more picks. And I think that's probably the most likely outcome for the Bears, just from what we've seen. And from that aspect of it, I think, you can kind of take solace in the fact that the Bears would be bad enough for a top 5 picks. I mean, a few different calls or non-calls from the refs, or even just a caught ball here or there, the Bears might have 5 wins right now, and we're not even having this conversation. So
true. Lucas, are you of the take the talent or take the picks kind of person?
It depends. If they have
let's say you're dropping 5 spots, so you go from, let's say, 4 or 5 to 10, and you get 1 first and a third or something like that, and
if you're dropping 5 spots, I would do that. But
Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are still on the board at 5.
All right, I'm probably taking the player there.
Okay.
But it really just will come down to, I guess, how how they evaluate those guys, how they fit into the defense, and
Right.
also what the pivot move is and how big of a drop off that is. At least
Right.
in this class, hypothetically speaking, if we're not without going too deep down the rabbit hole, if you don't get Will Anderson, I think there's probably two other kind of top end edge guys you might be able to snag.
Sure.
That and if your evaluation of them is that okay, their ceiling isn't far off of Anderson, all right, then yeah, you're doing that.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, really, I think the best case scenario for the Bears is that a team that kind of has like a miracle run this year needs a quarterback. I would looking at the Giants, maybe looking at the Colts. Like the Colts are interesting to me, man. If the Colts somehow win a few more games with Matt Ryan, and they're picking where are they at right now? They're at 15 right now. I mean, if they're going to completely press the reset button, maybe they fire Chris Ballard. They might go all in on trading, 15 to get up to 4 or 5. And if you're making that big of a jump as the Bears, you're going to get a haul back in return. And for a team like that, who is probably going to rebuild, they're probably going to suck next year. So if you can get a first round pick for a team that you think will be bad next year, that's kind of the best case scenario in my eyes.
Yeah. Making draft day. You're making trades just like the movie Draft Day. I want 4 first rounders and give me this guy just because I want him.
Well, you know how it works. I mean, like the Bears magically had whatever they finished with. They made the playoffs, and what they had the year they traded up for Fields, like 20 or something like that.
No, they had like 15 and went to 11, I think, something like that. You all right over there, buddy?
I'm dying, man.
You need some water? Just get some water or some alcohol or something.
All right. Keep the audience busy. I'll be right back.
Copy that. So, folks, obviously looking forward is kind of fun at this point, but we're still in this season. We got the hot Atlanta Falcons coming up. Very interesting game with a lot of the front office folks over there. Phil Emery, Ryan Pace, and then some of the players that they've also picked up, even down to
Cordero Patterson.
Who's that wide receiver though?
Damiere Byrd.
Damiere Byrd, who's actually had a couple of nice games for the Falcons. And they have. Don't they have like a D lineman or two, or an offensive lineman?
They got so many guys from the Bears.
They got some former Bears over there. So Marcus Mariota, being Ryan Pace's baby for when he first got to Chicago, it's just funny that he's in Atlanta. This is another game where it's probably winnable, but I don't know if I see that happening. Fields going home, though, is an interesting storyline. What do you think about this game coming up, Lucas?
Do you think both teams will combine for 300 yards passing?
Yeah.
The Falcons are a lot like Mariota's like Fields. He throws for like 150 yards a game. This will be fun to watch.
Does he really?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Falcons are kind of very similar to the Bears in a lot of ways. I mean, they've probably won a few more ugly games, but all in all, they're not very good. I mean, they're beatable. It's just really going to come down to like a few plays here and there. I mean, the Falcons' defense is not good.
Yeah, they have some crazy wins, dude. Like,
yeah,
they beat the Seahawks, they beat the Browns, they beat the Niners, they beat the Panthers in a fucking shootout, and then they've lost to the Panthers, they've lost to the Chargers, they got the crap kicked out of them by the Bengals. They beat the crap out of the. No, wait, that was. Oh, they almost came back on the Rams. They only lost that game by 4 in the opening weekend or second weekend of the. Yeah, and then they had that opening weekend game against the Saints where they lost by 1. So it's an interesting team. They can put up some points. They got Patterson. They got Algier back there now, running the ball. They traded Calvin Ridley at the break, because he was parlaying some bets. So their defense is not bad. Their offensive line has I think 3 first-rounders on it. So they have some talent in Atlanta. They might be a quarterback away from making a serious run. The weirdest thing in Atlanta for me is Kyle Pitts. I do not understand what's happening there.
I mean, I just don't think they throw the ball enough to get him involved that much.
I have him in a fantasy league, and he just I've watched some Falcons games, and the throws to him are terrible, just terrible, and he looks like he's out of place. It just looks so uncomfortable.
Well, dude, they have Ritter on their bench too. I'm kind of surprised they haven't gone to him yet. Maybe he's just truly not ready, but
I would
probably can't be much worse than Mariota.
If fucking Pitts has another season like this, I'm offering something, man. That guy's ridiculous, dude.
I acquired him in Dynasty. I'm faithful that he'll get a new quarterback and be better. He's too good not to. I think he's too talented not to be utilized. I just don't think he's being utilized properly. I think Mariota's offense is going to be way different than kind of any other quarterback's offense there.
Right.
Dude, Mariota stinks. He's pretty bad.
Man, that game I was watching, he was throwing balls where he wasn't gripping the ball towards the top 3 quarters. It was in the middle of it. It was almost like push pass. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're awful. You're awful.
I'm pretty sure he was a Ryan Pace draft crush too.
That's what I said. Were you not? You were coughing. It was Ryan Pace's dude. He was trying to trade up to get him. Who was the other quarterback in that class?
Wentz,
man. They both turned out.
Was it Wentz? No, wait. Mariota was the year before, I think. And then it was Wentz and Goff after.
That's right. It was Wentz and Goff. Who was Mariota, though? It was Mariota and somebody, wasn't it? There wasn't?
Yeah, there wasn't. There was, but that draft class wasn't good.
So it was 2015. Jameis, man. Famous Jameis stealing crab legs. That draft class wasn't terrible. That's not true.
That was the Kevin White class.
Yeah, we could have Amari Cooper fell to 5, and I was bummed.
Dude,
and one pick before, again, Leonard Williams went, who I would have gladly taken. We could have had Vic Beasley, could have had Todd Gurley, could have had Melvin Gordon.
This wasn't a good draft class.
Marcus Peters. It was not. I mean, draft class. It wasn't a good draft class for the Bears. That's for sure.
I'm just looking at the first round here, man. Eric Armstead's probably one of the best players from the first round.
Dude, look at there was. Wait, how was Jameis Winston a Pro Bowler? Who's fucking making this designation?
He's probably the same designation that Mitch got.
Alternate. Still. Anyway, all right, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So Falcons, I think, will be a very similar test. I don't feel.
Dude, this is
feel good about this.
I have to say, I don't know if I've seen a single Falcons game this year. I got to look up some of their numbers. Don't feel good about it. Why?
Because, man, I'll tell you when I didn't feel good about the Lions game and I didn't say anything. Was
when I guarantee to win?
No, because no. It was actually when Brandon chat said he was thinking about doing a -17 alt line. I was like, we're fucking losing. This game's we're fucked. We're fucked. You can't go out there he's like you are with all the Philly sports, right? Because he lives in Detroit. So he's just fuck the Pistons, fuck the Lions and the Tigers, and fuck all of them. Detroit sports sucks. And then sure shit, we play him, and nope, Bears fans can't have nothing nice. So I blame you, Bren.
All right. Where are these offensive numbers for Atlanta, dude? Can't find them. Can't find them anywhere.
Atlanta right now is favored. They're just getting the hometown -3.
Yeah, so on a neutral field, they're saying they're even.
That's not
If
the
the
one.
Falcons and the Bears were to play in the Super Bowl, it would be a pick 'em.
That's a funny way to say that. You should just say if they played on a neutral site, like fucking if they go to London or Germany or Mexico.
Munich. Did you see those giant beers they had there? They looked awesome.
Yeah, haven't you been to the Oktoberfest?
Yes, I have.
Your your creepy green screen your like eyeball is popping out, you weirdo.
Oh, sorry, I'll turn it off.
Now you look like a cyborg, missing one eyeball.
I was trying to read my laptop. I was trying to read the.
I'm dying over here.
There we go.
Ooh, got the lights turned down low. Over there.
Let's see now.
We can get you a ring light or something. Shine up that pretty face. Those.
The Falcons are the third fewest passing team yardage wise in the league. The Bears are last, followed by the Titans, and the Falcons are third at 156.8 per game. Goodness. I think they have a pretty good rush offense, though. Yeah, they're fourth in the league in rushing, so kind of flip-flop the Bears and the Falcons there. The Falcons are averaging a measly 160.4 yards a game compared to the Bears' 201 yards per game on the ground.
God dang. They're averaging 200 yards a game.
The Bears are more than 30 yards better yards per game than the Ravens, which is impressive as hell.
And is Jenkins going to be back this week? Is Tevin?
I didn't even know he was hurt, dude.
Yeah,
so weird.
Either. So if you had Tevin,
actually, dude, the Falcons' offense is 23 points per game. It's not bad. They're like 15th in the league, right behind Dallas.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like they get in these weird shootouts because I think their defense isn't terrible. I think their defense is halfway decent as far as like front seven goes. Their secondary's trash.
Well, let's see their yardage per game for the Falcons defense is they're second. They're right behind Detroit in yards per game. They give up almost 400 yards per game on average.
I was wrong.
Baby.
Their defense is trash. I sit corrected.
Let's see, passing wise, they give up. Passing wise, the Falcons are dead last in the NFL. They give up 280 yards per game.
Maybe your Fields 200-yard game will come this week.
And rushing, they're not bad versus the run. Middle of the pack.
Yeah, so they got to be 120.
120. Yeah, so I think you're kind of spot on. I think their D line and linebackers are pretty good. They give up 25 points per game. Yeah, I mean this is the believe it or not, the Lions' pass defense isn't as bad as you would think.
Even though they give up the Lions' pass defense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, where are they? I don't even.
They give up. The Lions give up the most rushing yards to quarterbacks. I mean, outside of Fields.
So, yeah, this could be the week where the Bears open it up a little bit. I know we said it last week, but Vegas thinks this is going to be high scoring. I think this is the highest spread of the week at 50.5 points. Tell me the last time the Bears got 50.5 point over under. I can't tell you the last time. Falcons -3 at home, like you said. This is a projected higher total than the Chargers and Chiefs.
Well, I guess it depends on where you go. I see
on
that. It might have opened at 50. Yeah, it's at 50 right now.
That's crazy. I mean, I think I said a few weeks ago. I mean, I'm going over in every single Bears game from here on out. They can't stop anyone, and they can score points.
Yeah, I just look for those that plus money or that those like shit, dude. I think who are they playing? I got plus 24 points or some shit. Was it I think it was it wasn't the Vikings.
Well, it might have been when they went down big at half or something like
No,
that.
no, it was after that because that's the game that kind of made me start thinking to do this. Who did they? Maybe it was the Dolphins. Did they get down big to the Dolphins early?
Not really.
Dallas.
Oh, Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, weren't they down by like 20
Yeah,
at one
they
point?
they
Like
got
20 to
down
3 or something like that?
they got down fast in that game.
Yeah. So I think that was I got 24 and like 24 and a half points. And it was still fucking close. It was like still a 20-point win for Dallas or something.
How many one possession games did the Bears lose this year? Basically all of them besides Dallas, right?
Probably. Probably. That's not necessarily a good thing though. Because like the Raiders won a bunch of one possession games last year and they're awful this year. They're terrible.
Oh,
They
I
added a
think
bunch of pieces too.
I think the analytics nerds would tell you that the regression went the opposite way for them this year in one possession games.
Well, thank you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
nerds.
Thank you, nerds. That was even I could even catch on to that one. Um
They lost 5 one possession games this year, so 5 out of their 7 losses.
wow. Wow. All right. Well, I mean, not really a whole lot else to talk about. Defense play. I thought, Sanborn was had a nice game, 9 tackles. He had the pick that wasn't
2
uh,
sacks.
2 sacks.
Dude, he had a really nice play on Jared Goff. His first sack on the goal line was sick, where Goff was trying to escape, and he just kind of, I don't know how it wasn't like a penalty, but he kind of like grabbed him by the neck.
Oh yeah,
Headlocked
yeah,
him.
yeah. There was also, oh man, speaking of headlocks and shit like that, Mark Sanchez is a terrible announcer.
Is that who was calling that game?
Yeah, he was fucking awful as a color commentator guy. He said something about going for the headshot, shout out Call of Duty. And I'm like, really, my guy?
I didn't
And
catch
then
that.
on that goal line one with the head, he said something about shout out WWE. And I'm like, bro, shout out butt fumbles, dude. Shut up. Like, you sound like an idiot. But
half these announcers they have on these networks anymore are like,
they're hard to listen to, man. Almost to me, almost all of the play-by-play guys are the same dude. I really can't tell the difference between a lot of their voices. Like, I have no idea who this is calling this game.
I like Gus Johnson.
Okay,
Do you like
great.
him?
I don't
Well,
know
I'm
who
just saying,
he is, man. They all sound like
dude,
the same person.
he's like the guy that called like every game when Fields was at Ohio State. He's like he like does a big long pause between like passes. Be like Fields looking, throwing downfield. Gus Johnson, dude, he's iconic.
I'm
He's
sure
great.
he is, man. I'm sure
That's
he's
the only announcer I
fantastic.
know because he's very different than the rest. But I do agree, most of them sound exactly the same.
Yeah. So, very, very rough. Yeah. And then Sanborn had another really nice play where it was like a 3rd and 1, and he filled the hole and just hammered
Drove
the
him
running
backwards.
back. Yeah, it drove him backwards, and it was a great hit and violent tackle that prevented a first down. So, I mean, maybe they have something there. I don't know. They have no pass rush.
Dude, it's like, when was the last time they got a sack? When was the last time they got a pressure, dude? Like, I can't even count on one hand how many pressures they've had the past 3 or 4 weeks.
I don't know. I mean, outside of the secondary,
What happened to Gibson, dude? I thought he had so much promise, and like
I think
all
he
of a
was.
sudden
I
he's
think he was really benefiting from being on the other side of Quinn. I mean, I don't know. He did. He had a pressure though. He got in the backfield so fucking fast on one of those plays, and he just ran right by somebody.
they got to get Muhammad out of there. He's terrible.
He's awful. He's terrible.
The only guy I think on that defensive line who I think deserves to be back next year is probably Justin. Justin Jones has been pretty solid for the Bears, I think.
I would agree. I like
But
Justin Jones.
the rest of these guys, it's they,
I like Armani Watts too. I think Armani Watts plays pretty well for a one tech essentially.
I think they could replace him. Like they could probably upgrade though. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean he's
I think
a fantastic rotational piece. I mean you put him
basically that
on
whole
that
D line needs replaced, man. They're so bad.
You know who's awful? Who's absolutely terrible? Mike Pennell is fucking awful. He has a stupid number. First off, he has like an offensive lineman number, 64. What self-respecting defensive lineman wears 64?
Mike Pennell,
Dude,
apparently.
go back to the penitentiary with that shit. I have no idea if he's ever been to jail. I'm just saying that fucking guy sucks, dude. Blackson's not terrible. He's a little bit of an upgrade over Pennell, but both those dudes are clear second teamers on a very bad defense. So
when you watch the game live, do you normally watch the D line or the linebackers? I feel like I never watch D line play. Like when I watch it live, I always watch the linebackers.
Where'd you play in high school?
I mean, I played linebacker.
That's why.
So that's probably why. But
I watched D line.
You're like naming all these guys, and I'm like, I couldn't even tell you how often Pennell or Blackson was out there.
Yeah.
Like,
so I watched,
don't look at him at all.
Yeah, I watched D line play. That's where I played. We played a 3-4 essentially, and I played 5 tech. So I watched that a lot.
Mike Pennell.
These guys are awful. Armani Watts has got some guts. He's a big man, like 6'5". Like he gets some push, but sometimes these guys line up so goofy. Like they line up like with their butts
crooked,
like, kind of down, and like their head almost up already, and they look like flat, and then they just come off the ball, and their head's already popping up, and I'm like, what are you doing? Low man wins, and you're popping your head up, and you're just like, they'll stand the guy up because they're just so big and strong, but some of their techniques are just weird sometimes to me. I don't know. I mean, I could.
Are you at all concerned about the defense and the fact that Eberflus is a quote unquote defensive mind?
The only concern I really have is it does look like there's a little less.
They don't seem motivated.
Try hard as there was at the beginning of the year. It looks like
Quinn and Smith have impacted that. I think more so than their play. I think their presence kind of impacted that more, getting more out of the defense, but not necessarily like them elevating the defense.
I would agree. But when you have a guy like Smith that's flying around making plays and stuff like that, that pumps guys up. Like Nicholas Morrow had some nice plays. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good player, but he's had some nice plays. They definitely need to upgrade linebacker. I mean, their whole front seven needs at least 5, if not 6 new dudes.
I mean, I'm starting to question their secondary now too. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to me, my thing is you can't get any pressure. Vildor, as much as you love that dude, is gone.
He's been going downhill.
Well, he's also hurt, and you can't blame him for 2 games ago against the 2 best receivers in the league,
right.
Best tandem in the league. Jalen's been hurt, so that's what's wrong with him. I didn't know that he had an oblique injury. I'm surprised he didn't pop off about that fucking hands to the face. He's usually very willing to run his mouth, but
yeah, I hope. I don't know. I hope we can get a glimpse of healthy Johnson by the end of the year because I don't know, man. I just feel like he hasn't been as good this year. I was kind of hoping he would take that next step forward as like, true number 1 cornerback.
What do you look for in a number 1 cornerback? Like, are you looking for turnovers? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I feel like but they never really throw at him either, so it's kind of hard to judge off that.
That's what I judge it off of. It's like if they're not throwing at him, they're respecting him, and he's doing a good job.
Well, like, I don't know. This game where he said he had the oblique injury, he was getting cooked, man, by no-name receivers, and I was just
but he's not that. See, that's the biggest problem with like Jalen is he's meant to go against guys like
bigger
Jamar
receivers.
Chase, like bigger guy. Yeah, like bigger guys, more physical guys. I mean, I know Chase is fast too, but he's not Tyreek Hill fast. He's not even that little number 85 dude that the Lions had, or yeah. What was his name? Tom Anderson. Basic ass white boy name. And a
Is that
little
the dude that was the dude that flopped over when Johnson hit him?
no, that was something Glenn or Dunn or so. I'd never heard of the dude before. No,
Fucking
Tom
bizarre,
Anderson
dude.
was like eight. He's number 85. He looks like Wes Welker essentially out there, just like with a little looking like a little go kart. He's the one that ran away from Johnson on that like deep like crosser over the middle that Goff hit, and just took off for like a 40-yard gain. Yeah, that was not good. He's not built for that, and I don't know how you defend against those guys unless you just pass them off really, really well in zone.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Or give so much cushion that you can, whatever.
Slightly disappointed in the defense. I would like you said, maybe like to see more of the try hard kind of attitude that we thought Eberflus would bring. You know, I wasn't a huge fan of the Allen Williams hire, so I'm still waiting for him to kind of show me something. We'll see. Maybe Eberflus gets more involved down the stretch. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know with Allen. I don't know where you go from Allen Williams. I mean, I don't think Eberflus is going to want to change styles or anything like that. But I don't know, like I said, where you would go from here. Do you bring in another guy from that Colts regime? Do you find somebody else on that kind of like an old Marinelli dude, or like what do you do? Like I don't even know where to go from. If
I
you
don't
didn't,
know.
if
I
you
just
fired Allen Williams tomorrow, like who the fuck do you hire?
that hire to me was just. I get why they did it because he was on the Eberflus staff, but he had his chances at DC before and he wasn't good. And then they kind of gave him another chance, and I don't know. The Bears obviously don't have talent, but the defense isn't. I feel like I thought they'd be a little bit better than this. It is what it is, though. I'm not
Well, I
going to
mean,
lose sleep over it.
you lose two marquee players. It's a big deal. And then you have more guys that get hurt. It's a big deal. Hopefully, they get some talent in there, both free agent wise and in the draft. There's so many holes to fill.
Yeah,
That they're going to get some talent. I mean, I know people love Deron Payne,
or Hargrave,
fucking both.
Terrell Edmonds.
Yeah, Edmonds is one that a lot of people like. Wasn't he in the same class as Roquan?
Yeah, he was. That was the guy I thought the Bears were going to take, honestly. And I mean,
he's stupid fast, right? Like
he's huge, but yes, he is fast. He's not.
Yeah, like
I don't know if he's Roquan fast, but he is fucking mad. Like he's like 6'4".
Yeah, he would go well in this defense.
Yeah, Eberflus likes his linebackers big and long. Whoa.
That's what she said.
This is it, though. I mean, this is modern football, At the end of the day, we've seen the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and Buccaneers win you need a great offense.
Buccaneers had a phenomenal defense.
They did.
They fucking destroyed Mahomes. I mean, I know the O-line was trash, but
my point being was I think in today's NFL, if you have an offense, you can put up 30 points a game. If you have a defense that's just good enough to make a stop here and there, you can win. I mean, the Chiefs' defense that year was not good, but they had enough pieces to get by. I think if the Bears,
like you take advantage of the spots you get. You go up one or two You go up one or two touchdowns. Force the team into passing, and if you have to me, pass rushers and cornerbacks are the cream of the crop on defense. If you can slow the pass down and rush the passer, you're going to be fine. Linebackers and D linemen, you can make it work.
Yeah, I guess that's my overall point is that the Bears defense needs to get better, but if the offense is able to kind of play like this with some more pieces, the defense won't need as much to kind of get them where they need to go.
Yep. Yeah, they got to get. They have to get pass rushers. Have to.
Yeah. Well, this is a good draft for it, so we
Well,
shall see.
well, bear down, Lucas. Let's do some predictions, sing the song, and get the fuck out of here.
Nah, we can't. That's Joe's song to sing.
Well, I pulled up the lyrics and everything.
You can sing it. I'm not singing.
We can talk through it. We can just say it.
We can talk. All right.
All right, so
Bears,
predictions.
50.5 -3. I'm gonna hurt myself again. I'm taking the Bears, dude. They're gonna win one of these games. They can't. As the fucking booger eating nerd will tell us, the bad luck, the regression will stop eventually. They're gonna get a good bounce soon. They're gonna beat the Falcons.
If they don't, they're headed into a rough stretch.
I just feel, dude, they're gonna. I have a feeling. My gut tells me they're gonna win one of these stupid games. It's either
they could literally they could lose out. Like
they could lose out. But I have a feeling
I felt good going into the Lions game that they could beat the Lions, the Falcons. They could probably beat the Jets, but that was going to be close. We talked about them potentially just getting fluky against the Eagles or Bills. We just saw the fucking who just beat the Bills.
The Vikings, and they ran all over them. The Bills can't stop the fucking run. Dude.
Yeah, but didn't somebody shittier beat the Bills a week ago? They're on back-to-back losses.
Yeah, the Bills lost to the Jets.
The Jets, I guess they're not that shitty. That defense is legit.
Their defense is good.
I mean, it's concerning right now. So, I mean, shit, dude, that really puts them in the top 5 if they do lose out. I would like to beat the Packers at home. That would be a lot better than losing. But
I would count that as a fluky win, too. I think they'll win one of the Packers, Bills, or Eagles games. I'll give them one out of those 3. I think they'll have one fluky win there.
All right, so you're picking the Bears.
I'm picking
Bears,
the Bears.
Bears straight up, Bears or Bears +3?
Bears straight up.
What's your score prediction? 50.5. You're looking at like 27, 23.
I'm going to say 34-27 Bears.
Okay. I think the Falcons win at home. I think the Bears' streak of 30 points a game comes to an end because, like, this. I mean, this isn't sustainable. But if it is, great, fucking awesome. So I think the Falcons win 28-23.
Is that a disappointing Fields game for you?
No, I just don't think they run as well. I think the Falcons will try to really contain him, and Montgomery has looked weird this year. So I think Fields passes much better this game, but doesn't have the explosive running game again.
Yeah, but Montgomery has looked weird, but he's one of those guys. He's kind of, to me, he's similar to Josh Jacobs, where he's not good in a committee. I feel like you just have to keep feeding him the ball, and he will eventually break big runs. I don't think he's a good backward that you'll give 10 carries a game and he'll be efficient with them. I think you have to give him. I think you got to get him in the rhythm of the game.
16 to 22 carries type guy.
Yeah, and throw him the ball a few times. I mean, maybe this is the week you get what you've been asking for. Throw him the fucking ball.
Throw him the ball, dude. Please throw him the ball.
That'd be
sweet. Get him on a wheel route, on a little Texas route over the middle. Get him the damn ball. I mean, I know Fields checked down to him once, but shit, I hate. And those work sometimes, but
he threw that. Montgomery must have had that insane catch. They got a PI on late in the game. Remember that? I don't know if it was a wheel route. It might have been a wheel route. He hit him up the sidelines, and Montgomery kind of caught the ball with the guy draped over his head, and then the guy was draped over his head, so he didn't. But but he got a PI out of it.
Yeah. Drawing penalties.
All right. Bears are winning. Joe Gaither should be going to the game, but he probably won't be.
All right. Well, bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play. Clear that way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with a might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrilled the nation with that T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears, and let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears. Bear down.
Beautiful.